Hi, everybody. It's Craig and Tony back with your Docs Daily Tuesday edition. Tuesday, the 26th of August, and we are today and tomorrow. We have 2 days. We got to get through 2 days, Tony, and then football's back for real. Week one was just a little sprinkle of the craziness that I think we're going to see in college football this year. UNLV almost lost. Iowa State looked really good. Kansas State got people fighting, the parents are fighting in the parking lot. I mean, come on. That's the excitement we're going to see this football season. But don't forget, let's take care of business before we get here. Free $60. All you got to do, go over to docsports.com/free60, get you a $60 free account for any new customer. You can use that towards a daily pass. That's $30 per sport. Or if you want to use it towards like the football season pass that's on sale for all football through Super Bowl, $749, make it $689, you can do so. So it's just like cash. Make sure you get in on it and check us out with this link. All right, so don't forget about the premium plus here at YouTube. You got 3 different levels. You click the link in the description to get in, give you all the details. Very simple. It's a good way to check us out. If you get in the premium plus, you get guys like Tony, guys like me. You get 3 random picks from different cappers each day. Never our top plays, never 5, 6, 7, 8 units, but 2, 3, 4 units. So make sure you check it out. All right, guys. Tony, I see you have a 6 unit tonight, or 5 unit, 6 unit. Right?
Yeah, I have a rare 6 unit top play in Major League Baseball. Last year we did a run line system where we were taking short favorites, and we had an algorithm that would kick out a probability factor of they would cover by multiple runs. They would win by multiple runs. And we had, I think we were the number 1 guy at Docs. We were plus almost 14 grand for the year. And this year we're using the same system, but it hasn't been spitting them out. And we have one spit out today, which has been rare. So we had a 2-pack with a 6 unit top pick on there. And sorry about my phone going ape crap. Anyway,
so that's plus money then, right?
We have that going on, and we have a 2-pack in the prop market. We're on a 12-3 run in the prop market. WNBA, I thought both games were sharp, side and total. So did Tim, my capper that comes on and does some shows with me. But we're on an 11-3 run in the WNBA and hit 3 top picks in a row over the weekend, including we're on a 4-0 run there with top picks. So we're building up that bankroll for football, Craig. Speaking of football, I was out in Vegas this weekend for the Circa contest weekend event, went to all the panels and met a lot of people. And it's interesting, as long as I've been in this business, you can sit and listen to people and their ideas and their perspectives that you respect. Mm-hmm. And even though they go against yours, those are those conversations you don't say anything and you just absorb. And I agreed with a couple of these guys collaborate this football season, which will benefit all my clients. So a good weekend out there, and won a lot of money betting Idaho State as I watched everybody and their dog in the entire building pounding UNLV up to 31.5. And I just waited. I didn't talk to one single person in that sports book, and there must have been 2,000 people there that was going to bet the other side. So you know what I did? Took 5 crisp $100 bills, walked up and bet the other side.
Almost like went out right.
Surgeon. You're going to see a lot of that this weekend. You got teams that coming off a good year anymore. A lot of these teams, especially the subpar teams that had good years like UNLV, somebody like Purdue cherry-picked Barry Odom. That means you have a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, a lot of the players leaving the portal because the head coach is gone, and then they open up laying a huge number. Go down the rotation board of where that happened this weekend and see the kind of number they're laying. You might find some opportunity.
Yeah, especially against the really big numbers. And if you look at who they play next week, like UNLV had to go on the road. So that was like a tough spot where like they were trying to get over, just get a win, They got to go on the road. They probably should win this week, but it was like that was a really settled spot. I looked at that game and I said, dude, this is danger. Mullen's a great coach, but it's not like he has his dudes in there. He just got there. Got everybody. And
you're not in the SEC anymore recruiting. You're not down in Gainesville. You're not Mississippi State. You're not. UNLV's a tough place to recruit. Barry Odom, he's got his hands full at Purdue. Do not expect the same, type of turnaround that quickly at a Big Ten school that he had at a smaller school, kind of like a Scott Frost tried to do at Nebraska when he came from Central Florida and went unbeaten, and then he's just going to turn him right around. It takes a minute in these bigger.
Although Indiana did last year, so it can
that
happen.
Was a rarity. That
Good
was a
schedule,
rarity.
Though they had a great schedule. That really, it was all. He's a great coach. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to what they did last year, no matter schedule or otherwise, was impressive. But it sure helps when you can start the year with 4-0 and get your feet on, and then you start the Big Ten schedule and play a little tougher teams. And then last year. Like Michigan was down. They had a lot of teams that were down. So, your boys versus my boys.
That game right there, I was going to do the football show, the release party show for Docs on Thursday. I was slated, and when I got back from Vegas, and by the way, you're getting me at about 50% today because I didn't get back till late last night, and I went on I was out there 5 days. Do the math. If you're a guy, figure it out. But I just realized me and 20 buddies of mine bought a suite at Arrowhead for the game Thursday night. And we're going to go down and tailgate. Going to go down and tailgate early. So I had to call up, Bobby Faringo, who runs that show here at Docs, and say, hey, man, I'm sorry. I just totally forgot. I was busy going to Vegas last week. And I got back. We were driving back from the airport last night. My wife goes, man, I'm really looking forward to Thursday. And I'm going, what do you mean? She goes, the game at Arrowhead. I'm going, holy crap. Yeah.
I don't know why they played that on a Thursday. That seemed like that would have been a great Saturday evening game. If you look through the games, the Ohio State Texas game was early. So it would have been you would have thought maybe they could have got it featured on national television on a Saturday. I don't know. Maybe Kansas City, the stadium wasn't available. Who knows? Maybe that was the issue, but the Bearcats, I don't know who convinced them to be the home team, but have to play in Nebraska.
Basically home. I haven't talked to a single person I know that they don't know 40 people from Lincoln or Omaha going down. So it's going to be a game at Memorial Stadium, and it's on natural grass, which is, their turf school. So, but I think it'll be a good football game. Nebraska's bumped up to 7 in some spots already. But I think it'll be a good ball game. I think it'll be more of an offensive showcase than a defensive showcase. That's where Nebraska's strength lies.
If it's high scoring, Nebraska covers. That's one of those. If it gets high scoring, Cincinnati won't be able to keep up. If it's in the 20s, high 20s, I think Cincinnati has a chance to get the backdoor cover type thing. I think Nebraska will win, but if it gets into the 30s, they just don't have the horses for that.
I think the key for Nebraska this year, and why I like they're over the 7.5 win total, I don't think that Matt Rule in his third year, like he did at Temple and Baylor, is going to get to double-digit wins. And magically he turned both those programs around, which landed him a job in the NFL at Carolina. This is his third year at Nebraska. There's a lot of high expectations. I think 8 wins is a great year for him. And they avoid Ohio State this year, and they got a pretty easy schedule after this is a tricky opener. But the key for them is Dana Holgorsen being offensive coordinator. He didn't come on till late last year. He got him turned around a little bit. And, Nebraska's got an elite quarterback. That kid 2 years ago signed with Ohio State, backed out, and then went to Georgia. And then Nebraska got him because his dad was a legend at Nebraska. And then in the NFL, and his uncle was the, I think, defensive or offensive line coach, and he came to Nebraska. And last year he was a freshman. This Raiola kid, though, he was the third best quarterback in all of high school football, and everybody wanted him 2 years ago. So this is his true sophomore year, and he's surrounded by weapons. And Holgersen's he never was worth a shit calling defenses, at West Virginia and Houston.
They could
But
score.
boy, he can rack up 50 every game, and he's going to try and do it at Nebraska now. So we'll see what happens.
The one thing I always knock on Holgorsen was they scored so quick that, man, it just leaves your defense out there a ton, and that's tough. That's tough to do. Maybe not in the big in like the Big 12 days when he was in the Big 12, but it's tough to do in the Big 10 if you're going to leave your defense out there that long.
He even did that when he was offensive coordinator under Gundy at Okie State.
Yeah.
You know, and Okie State never had a decent defense to begin with till recent years, but back then, you know, Okie State, if they didn't score 48 or 52, they wouldn't win the game.
Yep.
You know, you just can't go on. And he tried it at West Virginia, couldn't do it. And he had a bunch of stud quarterbacks at West Virginia, a ton of them. He
should have never left West Virginia because they would have been happy and kept him with what he was doing. But at Houston, when Fertitta comes to pick you up in his private jet and pays you all the money, you're on the clock. You get 2-3 years, and they want undefeated type seasons. And if not, they're going to the next guy. And that's what happens. You're the hired gun. At West Virginia, they're just happy to win 8, 9, 10 games, every couple of years. Like they're happy with that. That's just not what they're happy with at Houston. And now Houston maybe wish they kept him. I don't know. I mean, hasn't been great since he left. So, Tony, what do you like here in baseball today? You like anything? I thought there were some juicy games today.
I thought it was a crappy board, really. A couple of minus 140-ish. I like the Cubs. I did a free play on this, but I'll give you a prop too. But Matt Boyd is just having kind of a resurgence. Yeah. I said like a renaissance. He's like a renaissance man this year. He's got a 2.6 ERA on the year. He's played very well. Back in May, San Francisco played him in a 3-game series and beat him two games to 1. And the one game that Chicago won, Boyd was on the bump with 6 innings, gave up 3 hits and 2 runs in a blowout win. I think it was like 7-2 final. Don't quote me, but it was something like it was ugly.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to lay the run line because it's a road game. But Justin Verlander's just a shell of himself. Yeah. And so if you look at the 2 starters, who's going to get the most run support is something I look at. It's going to be Boyd. And then who's the better pitcher? It's Boyd. And in that first game against them, he struck out 7 guys. His prop strikeouts 4.5 at minus 140. I'd lean a little bit on the over on that too. I think he'll have a good night. He's a good form right now. Yeah,
Verlander has I think the stats right, 1 win in like 2 years now.
Yeah.
Now wins can be a little subjective because you can,
sure,
be winning when you go out and you don't get to win. But still, for a guy with what he's making at his, you're a Hall of Famer. And it's tough to watch a guys hold on into their career. Him and what's the guy for the Blue Jays? Scherzer. Same kind of thing. It's like, dude, I just wish these guys would retire on top because when you remember them, you want to remember the best, not like what they were at the end.
It's kind of like watching Vince Neil try and sing Motley Crue songs or David Lee Roth try to sing Van Halen songs right now. You were rock stars in 1985, dude. It's 2025. Hang it up. Remember banging all the chicks and rocking all the asses, having a great time, but it's over. Yeah. Sometimes you got to know when to say when.
And I guess if when you have these contracts and there's a 3 in front of it or a 4 in front, you're making 35, 38, 40 million. Kind of hard, I know, to walk away. But these guys can make so much in endorsements. Like you would think they would just be like, dude, I can make 15, 20 in endorsements doing a few things and not have to freaking travel around and play baseball. But I like them in the first 5 innings today. I think that's the pitching matchup, I think, is pretty big there. The Cubs are starting to hit the ball again, too. Finally, the Cubs were the best offense really in the National League for the first half of the year. And then after the All-Star break, they were just like, oh, my goodness, the bats didn't come back, but they're starting to come back.
They came around a lot, I thought. They had a lull period there. And this is why I always tell people, for everybody out there watching, when you're handicapping your baseball, you want to look at last 5 and last 10 games. Forget the season stats because teams are cyclical and they have good cycles and they have bad cycles. but good teams end up figuring it out. Well, I thought that the Cubs had went through a bad downturn there, but when they played in that series against Milwaukee, they woke up.
Yeah.
They brought their A game. They won that series. They couldn't close it out, the last game to get a big number, dominate the series. But Milwaukee's the best team in baseball, and they were able to beat them. And I think they carried some of that momentum. And I also like a good team, coming off a losing series and getting a second chance at that opponent, especially with a good pitcher on the hill to open it up. I think that's a good spot definitely Boyd is going to outduel him in the first 5 innings.
I mean, the Cubs, Yankees, Mets, all three kind of in that same lull at the same time, post All-Star break where, they were kind of cruising along, looked like pretty much guaranteed to make the playoffs. And all of a sudden you look up, you're like, uh-oh, if they don't turn it around, not only will they not win the divisions, they might not make the playoffs. It looks like the Yankees and the Cubs somewhat figured it out, as long as the Yankees don't play the Red Sox. I mean, the Red Sox have just had
of all those teams you mentioned, Cubs, Yankees, Mets, I think the Yankees look the ugliest of the bunch.
Yeah. Which I thought they fixed their issues. I thought they addressed with their bullpen, I was like, okay. And then since then, they've won 4 saves? And it's like, you turn those 4 losses to wins when they were winning all those games. It's like all of a sudden people think they're really good, but but the big thing is Judge came back to earth too. I mean, the dude was hitting 380 or whatever. Now
he was
329 or 339, which it's still amazing. I think he's still top 2 guys in baseball, but that injury definitely set them back, and they really were riding him. They were really depending on his run production, and that's kind of fallen off a little bit.
We were talking about the when to hang it up. And we got the NFL 9 days away. I was surprised at some conversations I had with a couple of guys that were on the panel for the discussion with Mike Palm about the NFL. A couple of, panelists, experts that do a lot. And I kind of thought maybe Aaron Rodgers should have hung it up last year.
So. Yeah.
There wasn't a person on there that thought he should. They think he's going to flourish. He's going to be better than average here. And I was thinking, he said because of Tomlin's system, he doesn't put up with any bullshit. Well, Aaron Rodgers, that's his middle name. Prima donna, there's drama, there's this, there's that. There's always something, but in their camps, they all really liked Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Because he's there and because there's no backup right now. I mean, Mason Rudolph can't do anything. They don't. And the kid out of
Ohio State.
But I was surprised at that comment. What are your thoughts?
I mean, is he going to be Aaron Rodgers, MVP Aaron Rodgers? I just think those days are long gone. I mean, he had way better talent receiving-wise, especially when they got Adams. I mean, they had 2 top 10 receivers, I think, on the same team, and he was not close a lot of times. Bad decision-making. Maybe they have maybe his offensive line gave him a little pressure. Maybe it was the, first year after Achilles injury is always tough. But he's closer to my age than he is my kids' age, which my kids are 20, 19 and 18. So it's to me, I think it's just a hard step to go into there and a Cleveland or in a team that really is built to run the ball usually, Tomlin, and play defense. And now all of a sudden you're going to throw all the ball. And if they don't throw the ball, is he going to be happy? Is he going to be happy just running the ball? I don't think
so. The other thing was too, there was one guy who was with me. That's a professional bettor out there that I've known for years. And his argument was along those lines. He goes, Arthur Smith, is going to call a game plan that is not going to suit his quarterback's skill set. And the other thing, too, is I talked to a Pittsburgh sports beats writer that I've known for years. I used to have him on my radio show when I had my Sirius radio show, and he'd been to a lot of the, the practices. And he told me, he said, Aaron Rodgers is a freaking immobile statue.
Yeah.
In practice. He cannot move around. That leg that he had that Achilles injury on. You remember after Marino was never going to run around, but after he had that Achilles, once he dropped back, he didn't freaking move. And it hurt him. Even to step up into the pocket or step sideways. Aaron Rodgers used to juke and jive and get out of he'd stay in the pocket, not necessarily take off run, but he was kind of a elusive cat back there. He doesn't have that capability. And, that just alone the division they play in, there's some badass defenses in that division.
Well, not my Bengals, but.
Well, yeah, but you signed your stud.
Well, we're going to be the third worst defense now instead of the worst defense. But we're going to make you score 35 to win. And then that's going to be their kill. I just feel like maybe he's made peace with it. And maybe he's like, you know what? I'm just a part of the team now. And if that's the case, okay, can it be what they say, a game manager? Yeah, he's better than probably, the game manager type quarterbacks out there. I just think that's just not in his psyche. He's a gunslinger, and it's like he's always going to be a gunslinger. And I think that's going to probably – he was not a turnover guy. Even though he took a lot of risk, he didn't throw a lot of turnovers, or a lot of interceptions. I think he will in a very tough, schedule when you look at it. I think this is where Tomlin's, he's never had a losing season ever. This is the one. I think they go 8-9 this year.
I thought the same thing. But I sure got – and when I voiced that opinion, I got a lot of pushback. I mean, I still said I respectfully disagree. I think the guy's a cancer at this point. Yep. We were talking 5 years ago, and then you got the argument DK Metcalf's a stud, and he that'll help him out a great deal. Well,
he's not a great route runner, though.
But besides Metcalf, what do they have?
Yeah, they got worse at wide receiver, I thought.
Yeah,
and DJ Metcalf is just a go deep guy, which, okay, maybe he'll make some really big plays. Who's going to move the chains for that team? I guess maybe they do have decent tight ends, so maybe they attack through the middle, through the tight ends, which Pittsburgh historically has been very good tight ends.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of questions in maybe the toughest division in the AFC. Maybe the toughest division in football. I think the two North divisions are just stacked, both AFC North and NFC North. So to me, I would say I like the Norths in both divisions and the West. I think both the West are going to be super competitive in both divisions as well. Minus the Raiders.
Nobody liked Kansas City out there either. Everybody loved Denver.
I've heard a lot of Denver. I've heard a lot of the Chargers. A lot of people like those two teams.
Well, and This is a talk show. This is where we voice our opinions. You get to hear the cappers. Yep. You can't win in the NFL without a quarterback. The only reason that Cincinnati, your boys last year, were even in games was because of your quarter. Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you didn't have an 11-win season, Burrow might have won the MVP. But I'm just saying, Mahomes or Bo Nix?
Yeah.
Mahomes or Herbert? What's Herbert ever done? Ever. He finally got a playoff game. What happened in that game last year? Got their ass handed to him. I mean, it wasn't even a ball game. The same team that Kansas City throttled in Kansas City the next week against Houston. I'm just saying, until you get you're talking about a team that won 9 straight division titles, been to 6 straight AFC championship games. I mean, 4 AFC titles. I mean, it's just, I'm not going to buck them. I can't believe they're only minus 115 to win that division.
Yeah, I guess because the money
spread out of that, Craig.
Isn't the money just because it's just spread over the 3? Like if it was just them and Denver, I feel like they would be like if Chargers weren't maybe kind of had all this momentum as far as the fans are concerned. Sure. I think they would be like minus 135, minus 140, and that's probably where they should be just with the history. But the betting moves, the markets move the numbers.
Yep.
And Denver is a pretty big public team, and then of course like I think both the LA teams are starting to get more fans in their hometowns, and that's just big markets. So and those people have big money. So for someone from LA to come in and lay 10,000 isn't the same from somebody from Kansas City to come in and lay 10,000. This is a different, economic area.
Every weakness that Kansas City had last year, they addressed in the offseason.
Do you think they'll win with defense again? Because it really was the best. I
think they're going to win more with offense this year than they are defense. I think they're going to be a lot healthier.
Because last year, that was the big surprise, is the way they won games.
That Rice is a stud. You forgot how good he was. Now, he has a suspension looming over his head at some point in time during the season.
It sounds like that's going to get addressed, don't you think? Like they'll probably have like a 2-game to start the season, maybe.
I would sure like to see it happen early. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be late September when they have an arbitration or whatever it is. And then that cuts into the middle of your season. Let's just say Hollywood Brown goes down or or Worthy goes down while he's on suspension, and it costs him 3 or 4 games. But, with that team has never lost a division title with Mahomes, and they've never had less than an 11-win season every year. And, they were 15-2 last year, and everybody said they were a piece of crap. Well, they won 12 games by 3 points or less. When you win tight games in the NFL, it means you got a closer at frickin' quarterback.
They also got a little lucky on a couple of special team snafus late in games. But even that, if you just turn those two, because it was 2 games, they're 13-4. They're still they still win the division. They still, I think Buffalo did they have 12 wins? Buffalo? So I still think they would have the home field. So
yes.
So it doesn't yes, they won some close games and a couple with some fluky bounces. Good teams get the better bounces. That's just facts. A couple years ago, I think it was 2 years ago or maybe 3, Minnesota won all those games. Every game was like a 1-score game the entire year, and they only lost 2 or 3 of them, had an unbelievable year. Now, that did come back a little bit the next year, but they still won a ton of close games again. It's just good coaching too. Really good coaches and experienced coaches too, usually. Like Andy Reid kind of figured it out. And Andy Reid, I thought, used to be a little, especially when you have Patrick Mahomes, you always want to go for it. Dude, why not? Because he's just so talented, you figure you have a better chance than not. But last year with that defense, he kind of adjusted a little bit. And you know what? I don't have to take chances because I have the best defense.
Interesting. This special teams coach has been there all 12 years with Andy Reid. Spagnuolo's a great defensive coordinator. But I went to St. Joe, Missouri is where they have their fall camp, which is 35 minutes north of my house. I live on the north side of Kansas City. I drove up last year. I couldn't believe how kind of basically fat Kelsey was and slow in fall camp. This year, 30 pounds lighter, quick, fired up. Mahomes is thinner than he was last year. Mahomes has always had kind of a dad bod for whatever reason. But the whole team looked quicker, sharper.
Do you think this is it for Kelsey?
I think this is a different Kelsey. I think this will be word is around here. He has a lot of friends in the community, and this is his last year. I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
I think he wants
if they win too. If they win, I can't see him coming back because that's right off.
If he wins an AFC title and goes to the Super Bowl, gets beat again, I still don't think he's coming back. The NFC's got some good teams in it this year. It's for Kansas City to get back to the Super Bowl, for a 3rd or 4th year in a row. That's almost impossible. But to win the division is not impossible.
No, I thought I thought that number would start to move the closer we got to season because people like you would be like, dude, let's just look at the history. And the history, a lot of bettors just bet what they've seen last, which is
and
the only thing we've ever seen.
And most of the history is still on the frickin' team and coaching it.
Right.
Usually when you have all these teams that get really good, everybody bolts. Some NFL owner offers that coach $11 million to go coach his team.
Yeah.
And then players demand trades. They don't want the new guy coming in, and the teams, everything that got Kansas City where they're at is still there, and most of them are still in their 20s.
Yeah. There's only a few guys towards the end of their career. Kelsey, obviously, probably the leading candidate there. But to me, it's just I hope we see them stay healthy because I want to see them make the run, and I want to see if they lose it. I don't want it to be because of injury. I want it to see because Buffalo finally takes over, or Baltimore, or the Bengals, or whoever it is. I want to see them at their best, and a lot of times that's not how the franchises that are like even the Patriots. Tom Brady got old and he left. Like it happens. They're still young enough. We should see this team, if healthy, be able to defend their AFC championship. I'm hoping against my Bengals again this year.
Well, you got every team in the AFC West over the last 3 or 4 years has done everything they can to knock them off, including hiring coaches like Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Now Pete Carroll. Get Jim Harbaugh away from Michigan after winning a national title, where he knew he was going to be suspended anyway.
I mean, this is the best 4 coaches in any division.
And they spent a ton of money trying everybody.
4 Hall of Fame coaches. 4.
Yeah. I mean, so they're doing everything they can to knock them off, and it ain't going to come easy. But I'm just saying, minus 115 with that lineup to me still. I know we got off tangent here, but
they're in week 1. They're in
Brazil playing the Chargers,
but they don't lose a home game. It's the Chargers home game, right? Dude, they got lucky there. The Chargers got to be pissed about that. Like, you know here.
The refs are on our side. The NFL brass is on our side. Everybody helps us win. We don't do jack shit except just get lucky and get all the calls.
Eagles were the team that won the last year, the Brazil game, remember? That was the Eagles week 1. So, maybe that is a little lucky for whoever wins that game, could be the winner there. So, but let's finish it up here. We did give you the Cubs. I also think Tuesday, I think there's a lot of juicy, big favorites here. I kind of like, where is it at? I kind of like my Reds today in the first 5 innings. Nick Martinez has been a better than I thought he would be. When they said we were going to start Nick Martinez, one of our starters this year at the Reds, I was like, dude, are you crazy? I mean, this guy was 2 outs from having a no-hitter against the Padres. I was there about a month ago. I mean, he's not been as good on the road, but this is still Kershaw. We speak of guys that maybe stuck around too long. Kershaw's he's been okay. He's not like the ace anymore that we remember.
He was dog crap in his last start.
I just think the Reds might be able to win this. I kind of like them in the first 5 innings. I think they could jump out on them. And this is a Dodgers team that's kind of feast or famine. They seem like they either score 7 runs or 0. That's been there, which is crazy. You look at their offense, how in the heck they don't score more consistent. I don't know if they're just, complacent, Tony, and they're just waiting for the playoffs, let's just turn it on come the playoffs. But that's hard to do.
I know a sports bettor out in Las Vegas that put a sizable bet on them last night at plus 140. And they got whacked 7-0, and he came right back today with them.
Yeah. The Dodgers are one of those teams. They dominate one day, and then the next is scratch your head. It's got to be a frustrating team to coach because when you have that much talent and you don't perform on a regular basis, you're like, okay, this is fine in the regular season. Okay, whatever. Can we do this in the postseason? You got to win series, and they're not necessarily winning series. I will say my Reds haven't been swept, knock on wood, have not been swept all year long. The only team in baseball not to be swept.
Oh, that's right. I read that the other day. That shocked me too.
They're the only team to win that but have a losing the amount of series, like win losses, just total. They're actually negative. So slightly. So it's kind of crazy that that's the case, but that is the case. In fact, the Brewers, remember they were down in the 10th inning, the last game of that one, or in the 9th inning, came back, forced extra innings of 1 in the extra inning. So barely fought that off. So I do think they kind of get it today. But I would rather play them in the first 5 innings if you can. I think that's the hidden gem of betting. We talked about it yesterday on Doc's. I think the hidden gem of betting is first 5 innings, and not enough people do it.
Sure.
It's the only wager you can on money line that you can get a push.
Yeah,
you have a money line, you can actually get a push. If you have them for the game and it goes extra innings, you get the loss. So yeah, that I like.
Plus, if you're an under player and you got 2 good pitchers, you always want to do the total on the first 5 because once it gets a bullpen, it goes anywhere. Yeah. You could have 1-0 after 5 innings, total 7.5 or 8, and you're going, oh, this is beautiful. Final score 8-9.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, and like you were mentioning earlier, a guy might not have pitched, a guy might be a really stud pitcher, but his win-loss record sucks because that's how it ends up for him.
Yep.
When it goes to the decision.
Look at Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens should be probably pushing 20 wins already, but he doesn't because he doesn't get a lot of run support. He'll go out leading 1-0, and then they lose, because the bullpen allows 2, they lose 2-1. And it's again, he's still going to be the Cy Young winner.
Perfect example of a first 5-inning bet if the number's reasonable.
Yeah, with him you can even lay the like the minus juice. It's not a lot, minus a half in the first 5 innings. But when he was playing, like I think it was against the Tigers early in the year when they went to Detroit, and it was when they had a doubleheader day, and it was like minus 120 for him. It's like, dude, anytime he's minus 120, he wasn't against Skubal. So anybody else in the league, he's the next best. They're the best 2 pitchers. So it's like anybody else, even the Pirates, you have to take him because he's only going to give up 1 run. Usually that's what he's doing through 5 innings. I mean, the guy has put up, he's a bigger favorite. We just looked yesterday when he's a bigger favorite to win the Cy Young than Skubal is, which I thought Skubal would be because he's on a winning team. Right. And sometimes that does factor, like, oh, well, he's the best, best pitcher on a pretty damn good team, where Skeens is on the worst, team or third worst team. And but yeah, he's like minus 300 to win the Cy Young.
I've seen him
now.
give the Heisman Trophy to players all the time because they were on winning teams. There were other players more deserving. You can make an argument every year almost for that.
Cy Young does usually go to like the top ERA type guy, because they're just so much sample size. Like there's just way more sample size in baseball for starters than you see like in football, where we only get, college football, 12, 13 games. Yeah. So I think he'll get it. I do think Skubal is minus 140, which is crazy. Skubal should be. I mean, yesterday I had him a game of the year. I mean, he dominated. 2 errors, 5 earned runs. So it looks like he didn't pitch well. He probably would have won 3-1 if it doesn't get all those 2 2 errors that just end up, giving 1 run and then end up being a grand slam off of the other. So anyway, all right, that's what we have for today's show. Tony, thanks for joining in. We'll be back next week. And next week, you know what it is? Not just college football we'll have. That'll be college football week 2. So we'll be talking a little more college football. We can talk about what really happened, which would be nice instead of projecting. And then we'll be able to at least look ahead to the NFL week 1. We'll have, in a few minutes, right? We have 4:00 today. We have the cuts are finalized for all the teams. Yep. So not only cuts, but now once guys get cut, we start seeing trades and guys get picked up. So we'll see how these rosters end up. So we'll talk next week with Tony and me. Hope everybody has a good day. Good luck. Remember, don't go crazy. It's week 1 of college football. We still have 20 more betting weeks? 22 more betting weeks? Less is more. Yeah, that's the best free tip you're going to get all day long. You bet 7 or 8 or 9 games this week, you're screwed. You bet 3, maybe 4, lower unit, even flat bet them across the board. Maybe bump one up just a little bit, your best bet. And we got football all the way till February. Don't go nuts in August. And remember, so many people lose their mind Thursday and Friday. There's a million games this year on Thursday, Friday, but only a couple that are even like going to be good games. So just be really careful Thursday and Friday. At least Saturday, we see a little better, 2 power teams at least squaring off in Texas, Ohio State type games. So anyway, be careful, as we said. Be smart. Money management. It's as important as your record at the end of the year. Trust us. If you go crazy the first week, you'll be fighting this for the next 10 weeks to get your money back. All right, guys, good luck. We'll see you again next week. Hope all your bets are winning ones.